We're going to take a look at a famous Christmas song, even though this is one of those Christmas songs that's not really about the real meaning of Christmas, but it's still a fun song, and it's called Winter Wonderland. This song was written in 1934 by Felix Bernard and lyricist Richard Bernhard Smith. It's been covered by over 200 different artists, and the lyrics were originally about a couple's romance during the winter season. The interesting thing about this song is it actually has two versions. The original version is about this couple's romance during winter, but then there's a later version of Winter Wonderland, which came about in 1947, and it included a new lyric that was aimed at children or about children. In other words, it transformed the song from a romantic winter interlude to a seasonal song about playing in the snow. So you look at the lyrics, and in the first verse, it's talking about, in the meadow we can build a snowman and pretend that he's Parson Brown. But in the children's version, Parson Brown becomes a circus clown. And the promises that the couple made in the final verse, we'll conspire while we dream by the fire and face unafraid the plans we've made. Now we have lyrics about frolicking in the snow. And some singers sang both versions in the same recording. And it makes for a rather confusing juxtaposition. You've got this romantic couple in the first verse, and then they're transformed into playful children in the second version. And you have this line, we'll have fun with Mr. Snowman until the other kiddies knock him down. So it was a romantic couple, and now they are kiddies. Anyway, a little history about how the song was written. The lyricist, Smith, he was a native of Honesdale, Pennsylvania, and reportedly was inspired to write the lyrics after seeing the Central Park of that city covered in snow. And he wrote the lyrics while he was being treated for tuberculosis in the West Mountain Sanitarium in Scranton. Anyway, people who have recorded this song include Guy Lombardo, famous for his New Year's Eve celebrations, Tony Bennett, Bing Crosby, Darlene Love, Ella Fitzgerald, Ringo Starr of all people, Johnny Mathis, and of course, dozens and dozens of others. So what we're going to do is take a look at this song's melody and the chord progressions, and we'll have some fun with it. I'll show you some different ways that you can play this song. We'll analyze the song together. Basically going to have some fun with Winter Wonderland. So we'll switch to the overhead camera and take a look at this song together. What you're looking at now is a part of the song with which you may not be that familiar. A lot of these classic Tin Pan Alley type songs are written with a specific structure. They start with the verse, and then they have what's called the refrain or the chorus. Now, everybody knows the chorus. Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? Everybody knows the chorus. But there's actually a verse that precedes the chorus here in Winter Wonderland. We're not going to worry too much about playing that. It sounds something like this. I'll play it for you. Now we get to the part that we know. So we're going to play it very simply at first. And you'll notice that it says swing. If you play this exactly as written, it sounds very stiff. Well, obviously you know that's not the way this song is supposed to sound. Very often with popular songs like this, the notation is somewhat simplified, and it's left up to the performer to know how to make it swing. So instead of 2 straight eighth notes, and it's kind of hard to notate swing exactly. You could actually write it as a dotted eighth note to a 16th note, but then it comes out and it sounds stiff again. And so it's kind of halfway between that. It's kind of like a triplet, but a little looser. It's very difficult to explain it exactly. You just kind of feel a swing. Then we have G7. And see right there, everybody knows the melody kind of sounds like this. Now right away you can see the chords here are very simple. All we have is C and G7, but it feels like there ought to be more chords in there. So let's see what we can do. It kind of stays simple here. We could go to D minor there. That's kind of nice. And it fits with the A in the melody. D minor 7 is what I'm playing there. And then back to G7. And this is really, even though it says D7 here in the score, this is really a D9 because we've got this E in the melody. And now we have the same thing again. And we could actually play something like this. This is D minor 7. And with this G in the melody, you have this really thick, it's actually D minor 7, 9, 11. And then you can go to G7. You can go use that D minor 7 in there again. And then D7, G7, C. Now, one of the really interesting things about this song, and one of the things I really like about it, is this very sudden key change. It doesn't really even have any connecting chords. It just jumps from C major to E major. But yet it sounds perfectly natural. So why is that? Well, we have a common note. If you take a C major chord, you've got C, E, G, and then you have an E major chord, but you put it in second inversion, you still have this common note. And so what happens is the tonic in C major drops half a step to this note in the E major scale. And so you have this E major chord. So the top voice goes up half a step, the bottom voice comes down half a step. And so it's really not all that jarring. And so this is a phrase modulation. It's just jumping from C to E. And so we have this little figure in the melody, which repeats. Whoops, I got to be able to read it. So using that C sharp in the melody gives it a nice feel. It's actually now one of those things where it's like a B9 instead of B7. It could have gone like this, but it just doesn't sound quite right. Or it could have been, but this C sharp just gives it a nice flavor. So the phrase repeats. And now look what happens here. It jumps right into the key of G. Now when it went from C to E, the tonic shifted up a minor third, or excuse me, up a major third. I got to get my intervals right. But now when it's jumping from E to G, it goes up a minor third. But even so, we still have a common note. So take, for example, this E major chord, and then if we go to G major, you'll notice we have that common note. We have a B. So once again, even though it just all of a sudden shifts from the key of E to the key of G, it's not jarring. It's not like it goes from E to B flat. You know, that would be strange, you know. Now that doesn't sound good at all. That just totally throws you off. But now it's just going from key of E and then it jumps to G. And so notice we have that same phrase. It keeps getting transposed. And then it gets turned upside down, A7. And so by using this circle of fifths progression, A, D, G, now we're back in C. I'm going to throw that D minor in there. All right, now we can do some interesting things with the left hand instead of just playing block chords. But of course, playing the block chords, that's a great way to start playing this song. Now you can play it instead of just plopping the chord in there at the beginning of every measure. You can now it sounds kind of like a march. Or you can play it on every other beat. So I'm kind of, I don't know how you would describe that, sort of a pickup note to the chord there. Or you can play it this way. So a little bit of a variation there in the left hand. So this is more of a oompa type bass. And then you can change it up here, just play the chords on every beat. Let me get it here. And then here, since you've got all these notes going on in the melody, just play the chord on every other beat. Let's see, what else you could do? You could play or something like this. Now, if you're getting really fancy, you can do what is kind of like a stride thing in the left hand. This could require a little practice. You get to the middle section, you can play a little bit differently. Just play straight chords. When you have these eighth note figures in the melody, you don't have to worry about playing too many chords there. Just hold it out for 2 beats. You do something fancy. You can add some chords in the right hand. Play a C6 there. Here's another interesting thing you can do when you get to that line, beautiful side, we're happy tonight. You can actually just start with a G chord in your right hand, hold a G in the left, and then you just walk it down. There's no shame in starting very simply, just to get the hang of it. So I would encourage you, if you are still kind of just getting started here, you can play it very simply and it'll still sound good. Well, as you can see, you can have a lot of fun with this Christmas song that's not really about Christmas, but in fact, this song definitely would not work in Australia since Christmas time down there is during the summer. I think that would feel a little weird to those of us up here in the Northern Hemisphere. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave those in the comments section. If you'd like to support my work, you can go to my Patreon page. The link is in the description. Please be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, the majority of my viewers are not subscribed, so subscribing helps the channel a lot. We'll have some more fun with some Christmas tunes as we head towards Christmas of 2024. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you in the next one.